to episode 141 of the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Darby Hallman.
And I'm Jeff Mayo.
And we have a very exciting show today. Lots of cool stuff. Ghost of Tsushima, Paper Mario, some cool game announcements. It's going to be a good time. But before we get into the gaming news, I just want to tell you, speaking of Ghost of Tsushima and Paper Mario, you can go to youtube.com/nerdsatlarge right now and watch our reactions to both of those trailers and then a little discussion afterwards. And we're going to have more discussion here, but go check that out. Give us the clicks, please. And yeah, that's about it there. So Jeff, let's start this podcast with the way we've been starting every podcast the last few weeks, with our quarantine recommendations. I think you went first last week, so I'll go first this week. And my quarantine recommendation game this week is Final Fantasy 12. So it's also kind of pulling double duty as what I've been playing lately, because this is what I've been playing. I've been diving back in to my replay of Final Fantasy 12 with the Zodiac Age on PS4. I started it like over a year ago or something, and I picked it back up recently. And I'm picking this as a quarantine game, partially because like I'm trying to pick games that aren't like super obvious things or whatever, and because I think this game is severely underrated. And I also do think it's a good quarantine game because it'll give you many hours of content. You know, it's a big old JRPG. It's a Final Fantasy game. I think they're like minimum 30 hours. Absolute minimum. Yeah, but this is a game I've talked about in the podcast before. I really do think that this game gets like way more hate, or just doesn't get a chance nearly enough. But I think it was definitely, obviously when Final Fantasy 12 came out, it's a very drastically different battle system than any Final Fantasy before. Final Fantasy always iterated, but this was like a very big leap. I mean, just from, you're not going to a turn-based screen, but more than that, the whole gambit system, how you're like, you kind of take the normal Final Fantasy encounters that happen, but you like, the gambit system lets you kind of like almost like a computer programmer, like design them to like, it's this if-then statements basically. Like, so you set it up instead of just always making you like telling the person to cast cure or something like that. You set it for like, if a party member is at less than 50% health, you cast cure. And then if like the party, like I have it, like if they're less than 30% health, then you cast cure, like, and cure everybody, and things like that. And then that also goes to combat stuff with spells. You can set like, if an enemy is weak to this, cast this. It's a very weird battle system, and I totally get how it was off-putting to a lot of people, but once you get into it, it's actually like really fun. And especially when you get the boss fights and you realize, okay, I need to change up my thing here. You know, like I really enjoy it. Yeah, I know you've played enough of it to like say that you also enjoy it, but
indeed, but it's been a while, over 10 years at this point.
Yeah, it's a pretty old game, but I mean, you even commented yesterday when I was playing it, for an old game, it actually looks pretty good. Yeah,
at least the remasters do.
Yeah, and the remaster is definitely a bump up, and you know, not a like substantial crazy one. And then like just kind of the vibe of this game. It's one of my favorite Final Fantasy just settings, because it is kind of like I love like the kind of settings that like blend two different things. They blend fantasy and sci-fi and everything. This is kind of more of a blend. It's obviously more fantasy, but then also like it's straight up kind of like Final Fantasy and Star Wars meshed together.
Yeah, just obviously, I mean, they're airships anyway, but just the way, I don't know, just the way everything's presenting it, definitely more Star Wars-y. The way people dress and all that. It's kind of a mix of it.
And this came out around prequel times, and that is the era of Star Wars that it is aping. But don't get to like, I think it's better. I honestly like the vibe of this a lot better.
But Dari, that can still mean shit.
Yeah. Just the city design and everything is just really cool in this game. It's a little more lighthearted, but it's not quite like Final Fantasy IX. It's like somewhere in between that. And it kind of has a cool, jolly vibe, but then also the story definitely this is probably the most complex Final Fantasy story I've played, at least in just a like people and politics direction. Like there's some stuff like Final Fantasy 13 and stuff gets fucking crazy with just wacky fantasy bullshit, but Final Fantasy 12 is convoluted more in like this, you know, this country has this like feud with this country, but then there's this third country coming in here, and it's just like backstab on backstab on backstab. It really is like, it's kind of Final Fantasy, Game of Thrones, and Star Wars, like all shoved into like a crazy mesh together. That it's not going to be for everyone, but I really, really get into it. You're gonna have to like look up some YouTube videos to like fully understand things, because it's a lot. But once you do, like, I really do think that a lot of people who think they wouldn't enjoy it actually would.
Yeah, I'll throw this out there just so people don't go and spend their hard-earned cash necessarily right away.
Yeah.
If you're someone who has Xbox Game Pass, it is going to be added there at some point. It might be after quarantine, but if you're just interested in this game in general, it might be worth really waiting for that.
Yeah, that's probably the way. But it is also on Switch, and I think that it would be a good Switch game because JRPGs in general. Yeah, I totally understand. This is one that's like maybe a little bit more of a risky buy because so many people don't like it. But I really like all the negative things you see online. I think a lot of that was people at the time super mad about it changing, and then like none of those people have given it a chance since then. And you know, I just, it bums me out how much that game is hated unfairly. But it's a good one, and soundtrack is on point. Jeff, what is your quarantine recommendation?
So whenever I think of this game, I try to think different ways, like people's situation, particularly in quarantine, and what game could best serve those different situations. One, like for example, my coworker, she ended up in her household. She ended up having she didn't have to, but she ended up going back to her parents' house with them. Her sister and a couple other people ended up, her boyfriend and a couple other people ended up staying there. Thinking, what could be a good game for all those people? Yeah. Roughly 8 people to play.
Yeah.
And the answer is Until Dawn.
Nice. I was thinking Jackbox, Overcooked.
Obviously those are good ones.
Yeah. No, I was just trying to guess, but no, Until Dawn, very good pick.
Yeah, if you're one of those situations where you got a bunch of people stuck in your house, I think this is a good one to spend a couple nights going through. Where people who don't know, Until Dawn, it's like a B tier horror thing. Goes through all these horror scenarios. You got all these different characters that you can take control of in different instances, and depending on your choices, those characters can die or they could live to the end. It depends on you. And what's really cool, which a lot of people did, is you all, before the game starts, select who each of you is going to control, and just kind of pass the controller around when that character comes up, and that's just a blast.
Yeah. It's like not even built into the game, but it's just like, I feel like that's the like best way to play that game.
I mean, it was so prevalent in the community who played Until Dawn that they added it in their future games as a feature, the pass around control thing.
And also kind of like what you're getting at, I think this is a game that even your mom and dad who never play games could definitely enjoy this, because it's not going to be something that takes like gaming knowledge to do and everything. Like everyone's
some quick time events might.
Yeah, but also like failing them is almost just as fun as succeeding with them, because it's like some of our favorite moments was like, oh god, you fucked up.
Damn it, Alex.
Yeah. Alex fucked up bad, but it's so much fun because like you're going to, it's just with that game you are inherently going to have memories. You're going to have like the whole room screaming about things. It's just like I feel like there's no way you don't. And if you've seen like B horror movies, which everyone's seen one in their life, like this is such an awesome spoof on that. But it actually gives you like kind of agency to make these decisions, and it's really cool because you go from like yelling at the person like, "Why did you do that?" to like you're the one doing it, and you do the stupid thing that you say they shouldn't do because you get like, "Oh, the calendar's going down." Oh no!
Sorry, I just made a realization about our playthrough. In true horror movie fashion, the black guy died first.
Yep, it's just fate, I guess. It's just B movie fate.
Yep.
B movie. Does the black guy die first in the B movie?
Maybe.
Is there a black guy in the B movie?
I don't know.
Guess we gotta watch the B movie.
No.
I'll just read the whole script on a coffee mug or something.
Yeah.
Well, Jeffrey, I don't think that either of us have really played anything of note aside from Final Fantasy 12, which I just talked about.
Nope.
So let's just move right on in to that news jingle.
Jingle, jingle, jangle, Darby. So, Darby, there's a couple really big things that happened this week.
It's summertime.
We got that there Jeff Keighley Summer Game Fest. And we had not one, but two little event things from him.
Yeah.
The first one, Jeff's like, okay, come at this time on...
keep it chill.
Yeah. This time on Tuesday, we're going to reveal a game. And, people were going crazy with it. It's like, is it Batman? Is it Elden Rings, all this stuff? It's like, no, it's something cool and fun. So, yeah,
it read as like, oh, okay, we'll temper your expectations or whatever. Which I suppose on those levels you had to temper it. But definitely, I expected this announcement to be a lot smaller than what it turned out being.
And it turned out to be Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remastered. I don't know if the remaster is a part of the official title, but we're going with that.
But that is what it is for you.
Yes. It's going to be on current gen systems and PC apparently via the Epic Game Store. It's coming out September 4th, so pretty soon. And it's going to be $40 for the regular edition and then more for the deluxe and all that. So I think the $100 one where you actually get like a skateboard deck.
Yeah, I heard because Tim Getty said he's getting that one. Of course. That's actually a pretty big announcement. I mean, that's...
Tony, the Pro Skater game is one of the most beloved games from the PS1 era.
100%.
And just kind of following, as far as like Activision and stuff goes, the footsteps of Crash and Spyro. It is also being done by Vicarious Visions, who did the Crash Insane trilogy.
Which is very good because also, in case you don't remember, not too long ago, we did get a new Tony Hawk game, and it was like one of the worst games of all time. It was just like absolute trash. It barely ran and was just a joke. So I would understand that just like hearing this and be like, I don't know, but like it's in pretty good hands.
Yeah, and what's good is, we saw actual gameplay in the trailer and just little clips when they were doing the interview with, I forget her name, the woman from Vicarious Vision, then Tony Hawk himself.
Tony Hawk.
So the gameplay, or a big upgrade as far as visually.
100%.
Like you easily tell, okay, these are the same places, but just so much more textures and just stuff in the environment, so it doesn't look as empty and all that. Obviously, the character model and stuff looks better. And it sounds like with Crash, they're going to stay true to the feel of the original. Hopefully maybe not to like with Crash 1 in particular to a familiar to a fault.
I think it probably will though, because like from what I heard, like they're using like the same code, the same like mechanics, like base mechanics of the original, and just adding things on top of it. So I think it's going to play like the original for better or for worse like that. I mean, obviously, there's going to be a lot of people who are perfectly fine with that to like go with the old thing. I'm sure there'll be some people that's like, oh yeah, this hasn't aged great mechanics wise, but no matter what, it'll still be a cool nostalgia trip. For
at least it's not exactly one-to-one thing of that. And they said in the interview they're adding tricks from the game, games that not 1 and 2.
Right.
So I think Tony said himself is, man, people play this game so much, they're probably not going to remember exactly where things came from. So it's like, oh, okay, I guess that trick was in here.
Probably, yeah. The hardcore will know.
Yeah. But I doubt they're going to care that more tricks are in the game.
No.
Or when I say that, well, they'll be happy. They're not going to be upset.
Yeah, if someone gets upset with that, then they really need to reevaluate their life. I would also wonder if this could be leading towards like a good Tony Hawk continuation, in the future. Because Tony Hawk is obviously a very big series or whatever, and 5 was just such a cash grab, pushed out the door trash fire. I mean, this is the more safe option, obviously, doing this remaster, but I just wonder,
So it was Easy Allies. I can't remember if it was during a reaction or during their podcast, brought up a good point as far as will this lead to more Tony Hawk? because this would be the 4th year in a row from Activision that we got one of these PS1 remaster / remakes.
Interesting.
And it has so far not led to a new game. Timing wise, you can get that. What it has led to is more of these kind of remasters being made.
Oh, yeah.
It might be from Activision's standpoint. We're just going to have to see how it goes. Crash's success made them think, oh, let's make more Crash games more. Ooh, let's remake more of our old stuff for easy money.
And you've seen like that team didn't go on to start working on a new Crash game unless they're doing that also. They went on to work on more remastered content and everything. Yeah. Were they the same one that did Spyro?
That was Toys for Bob. It was a different one. I'm not 100% sure who did Crash Team Racing. Okay. I do not believe it's Vicarious Visions though.
Yeah.
So
it might just mean like it probably like people now you can pull up the Wikipedia article for like 90s games that Activision owns and just kind of look for the next one potentially.
I'm trying to think if there are any. Yeah, I don't know if they have ones as big as as beloved and cherished.
There's a reason these were the start. The first ones.
As far as the order of this stuff, they did it right because you didn't want Crash Team Racing to be too far behind Crash.
Yeah.
Obviously, after Crash, Spyro is the next thing, and now after this, you kind of get the taste of Pro Skater 5 out of their mouth a little bit, and then release this.
You gotta try to earn people's trust back a little bit.
Yeah, and they're doing good because, from what I can tell, they're keeping the soundtrack intact. They're losing songs, but
hey, you know what I can't wait for, Jeff?
What?
A month after it's out. Hey, you want to buy songs? Hey, you want to pay real money to buy some tracks? Yeah. You want to get some Hawk bucks? But they'll do it a month after it comes out, so those review scores are still 9.5s and everything. They're like, here's the microtransactions.
Yeah,
it probably will happen. Like you gotta assume at this point it will with Activision because kind of work like clockwork at this point.
Yeah. So let's kind of get into it. Talk about, I guess, the presentation behind this, surrounding this. Get away from the game a little bit. So, what do you think of this being the first announcement for Jeff? Summer Game Fest for him specifically.
I think it was good. I think it was like, obviously this is a name that's going to get a lot of people excited. I saw a lot of people on Facebook who never even normally share gaming stuff were sharing this type of thing. So like, I think it's a good thing to get maybe some eyes on it for people that like probably had no clue this was going on. But it's also not like I doubt this is going to end up being like his biggest game announcement of this whole thing. Like I think it was a good way to start. It was a good game to choose to start this because it's a big deal that will get you talking about Summer Game Fest, and then you may have a more captive audience for when you do.
Yeah,
Batman. I don't know.
People's expectations for all this stuff have been weird so far with any of this stuff.
I'm not going we'll do it for fun, but like I'm not going to like expect any singular game of this thing. I'm just going to be like, all right, whatever happens. I mean, it's too much of a fool's errand to try to predict where
a particular game, especially with we had no. I mean, it's not surprising this game exists, but we had no particular reason to, except like 10 minutes before this thing happened, believe that this thing actually existed because Tony Hawk himself did. He sent text messages to people being like, hey guys, this is happening.
He's just too excited.
Well, and also speaking of Tony Hawk, what I think a very cool part of this whole announcement was afterwards, we mentioned before, an interview with Tony Hawk and the leads for Vicarious Visions. I like Jeff's interviews generally.
Yeah.
And you tell he loves doing it.
Jeff is like super passionate. That's why I always, back whenever he did the freaking terrible Joel McHale stuff, I always felt so bad for Jeff Keighley because like he obviously cares. I think that was cool. And also the next interview thing for what we're going to talk about.
Well, let's get right into it, Darby, unless you have any more to say about Tony Hawk.
I don't. Obviously I want Skate. I'm very happy for everyone else, but I want Skate.
So the next day, Jeff was more like hyping it up, this announcement up more like, hey guys, it's gonna be one of the biggest things of the summer. And he didn't make it completely clear, but he was like, he never said games, so he kind of gave you a better idea of what
the future of gaming. It's like a thing for gaming. It was
never said game, and unfortunately, people still expected a particular game like Batman. People were expecting Batman for some reason, but we got the Unreal Engine 5 reveal. We got to see a tech demo running on PlayStation 5, which thinking back on it, it's so weird how I know they ended up putting the trailer out on their YouTube channel, but how little PlayStation seemed to be involved in that and pushing that.
Yeah, it was kind of just like an afterthought. It's like, it's PlayStation. It's like, wait, this is the first time we've seen PlayStation 5 like
yeah, and Sony doesn't seem to be pushing it.
Yeah, which we kind of learned. We did learn afterwards, like. There was this whole roadmap that was supposed to happen with Sony, that they were like there was supposed to be like a Ghost of Tsushima demo event thing like last month, and then this was supposed to be at GDC, and people were supposed to have played this. So like obviously like Sony should have adapted more, but Sony's plans were obviously pretty fucked by everything that's going on. But that being said, talking about the actual demo, I think it's pretty rare for like such an obvious, like, this is a tech demo, this is not a game we're going to be playing, this is like a thing to show off an engine. I think very rarely does that like really, really grab me and impress me. Like a lot of times, like, oh, that looks really pretty, but move on or whatever. I have to say, I was actually pretty impressed by this in a way that I really didn't like this. And I know that like games won't reach this level for years, if ever, with like utilizing everything in here, but this trailer kind of gave me more hope that like, okay, maybe this next generation will be more of a noticeable step up than we were giving it credit for.
At least by the end of it. Like,
yeah. Because, I mean, we've talked about how the next gen is probably going to be more iterative. It's going to be things like loading times and having more particles and like you can interact with, like basically making Control actually run. Like that's what I'm expecting from next gen, but not like the crazy graphical leap. But when I was looking at this, I was like, when they were showing like that rock thing falling and all the individual particle effects, I'm like, that doesn't look like anything that could happen on the.
I wonder what saying. Yeah, I was just saying, just the way things look, how beautiful just graphics in general are, how things ran, and just at the end there when she was running on top of buildings and flying and doing all that fun, crazy stuff. It's like,
and I was listening with the like pretty nice headphones, so I got like the binaural audio thing, which was super cool. They talked about it in there, but also whenever she was doing that jumping, like it sounded like the wind was rushing here and then the wind was rushing here, and it reminded me of Hellblade, which is always like blowing my mind how cool that audio is there. And also just like there was things that were a little over our head, but I think they did a pretty good job of kind of like dumbing it down for lack of a better word, for things that is just going to improve the productivity of working with this thing. Because they talked about how, like, again, I'm sorry because we're not game developers, but like normally when you make these things, you have to make like lower quality models of something and then res it up, or like, you have to like, there's a multi-step process to like getting something to work in an engine like this. Whereas they talked about in here, it's like, no, you can just work straight in Unreal 5. And I've seen so many devs say like, if this is true, this will literally take like months of development time away. And that stuff like that is honestly even more impressive. That's even more important than
good things for Final Fantasy VII Remake. Am I right?
Yes, yeah. Like I like it legitimately might shave a bunch of time off of that, because also they said like if you make something in Unreal 4, you can kind of port up,
and then do all the crazy stuff. Yeah, that's kind of saw people discuss with Final Fantasy VII. Just maybe not the second game because they're already working on that, and this, as far as we know, not going to be able to get in the people's hands till later next year, and maybe the third part on, or depending how easy the update, putting it up is, they can do that towards the end if they felt like it.
Yeah, maybe it'll shave a little bit of time off at the end,
or make things run better generally, or even if it's not a time thing.
Yeah, definitely.
That's me talking my ass, of course, like most things regarding this topic.
Yeah, we don't completely know, but like I saw enough devs say like, wow, that's surprising. That's actually like really, really good, and triangles. Triangles everywhere. We got a new term. We got teraflops. Now we got triangles.
All them triangles, baby.
But also just the thing of like they talked about like, normally you have to kind of like bake in your lighting, and like in a lot of times even like super like impressive games, even like Final Fantasy VII, a lot of times the lighting kind of just is like a giant cone, and sometimes you can interact with things that should affect the lighting, but it doesn't, because they kind of just have to bake that in. But in this, they were talking about like how you can just have Unreal 5, and then if you like blow a hole in the ceiling, the lighting will naturally like react to that, which I have to imagine things like that also completely opens you up to like it's not like it's just something you don't have to worry about anymore if you're a dev, where you used to be like, okay, if we're gonna have this cinematic event, we have to manually change everything, whereas in Unreal 5 it's just like, nope, it's just gonna work, so.
No, this might help with the whole AAA games taking longer thing, even a little bit.
Like it, yeah.
Based on what they were saying. But yeah, we won't see this, really benefit games, this engine, until a couple years from now. Yeah. If it's not going to be available until late next year.
I think it would be interesting to go back and look at the Unreal 4 reveal and see if like we ever got there. It'd be interesting to see that. Like, it's gonna be a while before games are like really utilizing this, and games may never utilize all of this at once. But if it's like little things that might help development time,
if it just helps development time, make it easy for the devs, that's worth it, and it's
worth it enough right there. 100%.
Yeah. Darby, if we have nothing else to say about Unreal Engine 5 in particular, we got a little more kind of Unreal Engine 5 / Epic kind of related things. Unreal Engine royalties waived on first $1 million in game revenue. Around pretty much like right after this or whatever, along with this, they said, and I think this starts now with Unreal Engine 4, the royalties for it are waived until you make over $1 million.
Yeah, which is another, Epic has had several of these, but that's another like kind of, it at least on paper seems like Epic is
flexing their muscles.
And kind of using the insane amount of money that they're getting from Fortnite and Unreal and kind of pumping that back into like using that to be like, okay, we're going to give you some deals that wouldn't normally make sense, but we have so much damn money.
And obviously this whole thing will benefit the big devs like Square, Play, like whatever, but this will help the indie devs that use Unreal Engine,
which is very cool. And obviously there's a cynical version of everything. When you're dealing with mega corporations, it's never just like completely for the greater good. I'm not even like saying this in a bad way. It's just how business works. Obviously things like this and things like what they do with the Epic Game Store is a way for them to like almost have a monopoly on game engine and game devs, because it's like they want it to be at a point where like if you're sitting down to make a game, it's like, okay, well obviously it's Unreal. Like obviously they don't even want you to consider anything else because it's just such an obvious choice, Unreal. So they want to kind of monopolize everything. That's the cynical view. But on the positive end, there's probably stuff like this probably unlocks a lot of indie devs, like you said, that like probably wouldn't normally have even started making this game. And now it's like, okay, maybe it's more financially viable. Maybe I will try this. Because also Unreal is free, to use. At least Unreal 4 is, I imagine. Unreal 5 will probably be the same way. So,
just nice for those indie devs.
Yeah, it is.
And speaking of indie games, Fortnite, that little game. Yeah. Not owned by the mega corporation.
Favorite little indie game.
Unsurprisingly, they kind of said during all this, it will launch on PS5 and Xbox Series X at launch. No duh. But kind of not surprising, but interesting information is it will move over to Unreal Engine 5 in the middle of 2021. My get out of this based on timelines is Fortnite will move to Unreal Engine 5 before it's available for other people, which it's their engine.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense.
So that'll be interesting to see.
I just want to see Fortnite, super realistic Fortnite. I want to see the individual hairs and pores on everyone's skin.
Just in time for Jonesy to get into Smash. Yeah, I think that's the name of the generic guy.
What's his name?
Jonesy?
Jonesy?
I think so.
Is it Brandon Jones? Is
maybe
the main character of Fortnite?
Maybe. So one of my reactions when I saw this for the Unreal Engine 5 move is like, okay, so we got another guaranteed big Fortnite breaks the internet thing potentially, just to see how the upgrade. Like you expect that to be a pretty big upgrade.
Yeah, I wonder though, because Fortnite obviously is more art style than it is realism. So I wonder if they'll like completely overhaul, like completely change the art style, or if it'll be
I don't necessarily mean art style. Could just be kind of the way games run and stuff that happens in game kind of thing.
Yeah.
I have no examples.
If it just runs better, I don't think that's going to get like headlines all over the place. But I think it would have to be some like big noticeable thing to like 12-year-olds playing on their phone.
But it's them, so they'll probably figure out something to do.
Even
if it doesn't necessarily need Unreal Engine 5, let's just go.
Fortnite is going to continue grabbing headlines of being a thing for the foreseeable future.
Yes.
100%. And yeah, it being at launch is no surprise. Honestly, if you have any popular service game, you should probably be there.
Well, especially free to play. It's like
it needs to be there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean obviously with those, but especially if it's free to play, just you get online. It's like, might as well.
Yeah, you need to be there.
Yeah. Though enough to get some people excited.
Yep. But what gets Jeff excited? That's what I want to know. I want to know what gets Jeffrey Mayo excited.
A little thing called Paper Mario.
So is this a Labo set? They send you that you make, that you make origami with it, and then you make them fight each other.
Yes, like action figures,
right?
But it costs like $200 for one character.
Seems reasonable. Yeah.
Okay, so we got Nintendo just decided one random morning to shadow drop an announcement for the new Paper Mario game, the Origami King.
And then Jeff Keighley's like, "Hey, I'm right here. I have this thing called Summer Game Fest. I'm right here. You did, It's like, hey.
And it was like, summer what? So yeah, this trailer came out. Like Darby said at the top of the show, we reacted to it, but staying with Ghost of Tsushima, we've had time to kind of watch it multiple times and kind of digest it.
Now we hate it.
Yes. Fuck Paper Mario. Fuck Nintendo.
No, this game looks adorable and it looks cool to me.
Yes.
But you're the one that people need to hear the opinion for.
Since it's come out, I've obviously watched the trailer multiple times from other reactions, just kind of seeing it in general, seeing some of the screenshots and some of the additional information, all that, seeing all the fan theories of what's exactly going on and how it compares to the older games and what it might be taking inspiration from. Because obviously a big thing that more old school Paper Mario fans like myself won't are the returns of kind of a JRPG battle system and companions,
right?
To join you in battle and follow you and all that kind of stuff. Based on what we see in the trailer and a snafu by Nintendo itself, companions seem to be in. Maybe not exactly the way like in the old games, but seem to be there in some way. Because in the trailer we see the Babam throughout the trailer. His name is Babam.
And he's definitely very expressive. He's not just around.
So, something I'm gonna get to with him in particular, as far as like part of the reason people love the companions in the first two games is because it was these normal Paper Mario enemies, but they had their own unique designs and personality and that kind of stuff. While design wise is not as far as those did in the old games, it's at least different with the Babam, because if you notice, he doesn't have his fuse.
I didn't notice that.
So there might be something with that.
There's some reason.
He obviously has personality. The only thing that stands out to me is his name is Babam, which is kind of lame. That's how he introduces himself. That's I'm gonna go with that's kind of lame, but they seem to at least be doing the thing of he's at least a little different. He'll have his own quirks and he'll have his own personality and all that kind of stuff. And he was on there throughout the trailer, so I guess he's going to be there pretty consistently throughout the journey.
Assuming he's basically like a party member in an RPG.
So also something people were wondering, well, do these people join in battle? The answer looks to be yes, at least somewhat. Because in the Chinese trailer, we're doing this shit, Darby,
here we go.
which has been taken down by Nintendo and edited.
Winnie the Pooh is there.
Yes. No, and you see the battle for a couple seconds. And I think it's about the same battle. You see the same fight, but that Toad in the Adventurer's outfit, the archaeologist outfit that we see in the trailer, following Mario around, is in the battle.
Okay. So it's still the circular thing?
Yes, but standing next to Mario in the middle of the circle is that Toad.
Okay.
So it's... And that's
we did see the one screenshot when it was in the battle thing had like buttons for different characters, didn't it? Didn't it have like Mario, Toad, and something else?
Yes, but those weren't necessarily like battling things. Those were just kind of like hints or or a cheer. Because if you notice in some things, there's like an audience.
Okay.
And escape. So
you think the other ones might be playing more support to Mario?
Maybe it's hard to tell. We won't know. But Nintendo did take this down, the Toad in the battle down, so it's like, that's gotta mean something, right?
Yeah.
They just don't want, they're just kind of saving that for another trailer.
Yeah. Which again is weird for how
this
close
game,
the game
because
is.
we haven't said it yet. This game's coming out July 17th, which is exactly 2 months from today.
Yeah, which we'll definitely
recording.
We'll talk about that second after we're done with this. But so it kind of looks like, I mean, no one knows for sure yet, but I mean, it looks like it's definitely at least like closer to the old RPG roots, but then doing some new stuff that I guess it's yet to be seen.
Yeah, well, for the JRPG stuff, we don't know battle-wise how it's going to exactly take place. And I don't necessarily need it to be the straight-up JRPG battle system from the first games. I just kind of added that to it because that came along with the companions, which I feel like, in my opinion, is a more important part of what makes Paper Mario Paper Mario.
Makes sense.
So if we kind of get that and the battle system just... I mean, obviously it's bad, then that's bad. But if it's fun and different, I'm okay with that.
So what was the combat in the last two? I mean, or was there not really? I mean,
I don't feel like
I'm game.
Honestly, not completely sure about Color Splash because I saw some trailers years ago. I didn't play that one. Sticker Star, I don't feel like going into that. Okay. It's just not good.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, it definitely, from what I saw, it definitely looks like there's some element of a you were in the circle and there was this weird lining up thing, but there definitely seemed to be some element of like you go into this screen and then you're choosing abilities. Like it looks, at least has like the hints of a turn-based type system.
So. In the marketing and stuff, they say like for the battle, you gotta use your puzzle skills. So it's kind of like based on your moves and all that, and the enemies, and you see in the battle screen, you got a certain amount of turns you can do at a time, like because there are different levels of the circle you can turn, and I guess most of the time you're going to try to line them up. But I imagine once you get further in the game, it's going to be a little more complicated than that,
right?
At least.
So there's going to be some puzzle element to turning everyone around. I wonder if it's like straight up like there's a puzzle thing, or if it's like, is it a puzzle turn-based combat hybrid? You know? I don't know. It's interesting.
I'm also curious because in the battles, all the battles that we've seen so far seem to take place in like an arena thing because there's an audience. It could be just a typical kind of JRPG thing where you just teleported to a random arena
battle screen,
and fine, whatever. In Paper Mario, I'm not going to worry too much about that.
Yeah,
but if there is more context behind it, then battles may not be like something that happens crazy like as often in all these games, which goes into something else that we see in the trailer. And there's a lot of adventuring going on. There's a lot of stuff going on, exploring that world. There are boats. You got arms from arms, long arms.
We know the Smash rep now.
Yes, we know the Smash rep. Please, I would take that surprise.
God, that would be hilarious.
I would love it. And all this crazy stuff going on in this overworld, and that's just another big thing that makes me excited about this game. This is undoubtedly a step up as far as visually and just the way the world seems to be built from the past games.
Yeah, I mean that's even I said it multiple times in their reactions, but there were several times like in some of those towns I was like, these look very unique and distinct from each other, and then like the lighting, I was like, oh, this actually looks like obviously it's a very stylized game, which is really cool, but also it has some like real that's just like legitimately like realistic looking lighting that like really meshes well with the everything else going on, like straight up like Wall Market to me, like a Paper Mario version of Wall Market. So that
has me excited. I expect the world to be charming and just fun to explore, and
like I really like how they started this trailer. With the like almost horror movie vibe thing or whatever.
Peach in a fucking cult.
that was just like, that was a really cool way to immediately set up the story. It's like, oh, everyone's being possessed by this origami thing.
Peach is technically, I mean, I guess you can easily twist it too. She is technically kidnapped or brainwashed or something, but Peach is kind of a bad guy in this.
Yeah, maybe
you're working with Bowser.
Yeah,
because he's really folded up and following around the whole time, and you're working with Bowser's minions throughout the game.
Yeah, it's like to my RPG vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that was just like a very, like, from the first 10 seconds, I was already like, oh, this is really cool. I was really interested in the plot of this. And just the whole, like, it's kind of cool having, I mean, I don't know, every game might do this, but having it's playing with the whole paper thing, how everyone is paper, but then like Origami, like they're a different type of thing, and they're the enemy. You know, like that's kind of a cool.
It's kind of a weird thing with Paper Mario. Like the earlier games didn't really do that much. Play with the whole paper thing as much. They did so in the later games with Sticker Star and Color Splash. Get it?
Yeah.
And people kind of hate the paper thing because it's connected to those games. I'm like, we'll see. We don't know the general idea of using the fact they're paper is fine with me. It just happens to not be as good. Well, particularly in Sticker Star. Color Splash, I have no particular opinion on. I've heard it's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't seem like the Origami thing is like directly related to like, it doesn't seem like a huge gimmick thing. It's like, it's more just like
context of, hey, technically, like, so these are the enemy and they can technically take over your comrades.
Yeah, and it kind of creates a cool, like, you can immediately, like, they look very different, and it's kind of cool to have, like, the paper people versus the Origami. Like, the Origami is like oh, it's the other, you know, like, scary thing.
It makes it easier for you to partner up with Bowser's minions, because it's like, okay, they're obviously good because they're not Origami.
Yeah. And then you'll get Origami people that can turn into paper and like spy on you.
Oh my god. Yeah, so a lot of crazy stuff going on there. We see Luigi for a little bit in a screenshot.
So really quick before we move on, what do you think about them announcing this and it coming out 2 months later? It's one of those things, like me personally, I could see arguments either way for like it being cool and good that there's such a fast turnaround. But the thing that has me kind of skeptical on whether this is a good idea is just that Paper Mario is like kind of popular, but like it could use some marketing. It could use like getting in front of more people's eyes to get that like bump. And I'm kind of worried that like announcing it this close, not as many people will get eyes on it, and it won't have the Switch bump that like every other franchise has had. And then the other part of that is, it's kind of weird because it seems to be changing a lot, and we have a lot of questions about this game for how close we are to release. You know what I mean? Like, we've just come up like, oh, maybe this. We don't even really know what the battle system is like, and it's like, pre-order now. I'm like, I don't know. You can't pre-order, but it's like right around the corner.
No, I'm pretty sure you probably get it on eShop at this point.
Like, I don't know if that's the best idea. But.
Yeah, well, as far as the marketing it thing, I do really think, I think we mentioned it during our reaction, and especially more now thinking it, because my immediate thought was when I saw this was a thing, I just saw the date and not the trailer. I had the whole day to think about just the date. That's the only thing I had to go on. It's like, why didn't announce this during the March mini direct? That would have been a great closer compared to Pokemon.
Yeah,
what they did with that. But then of course realized that the rumor has it. A rumor that included Paper Mario that was supposed to be included in a Mario presentation this month to go along with the 3D Mario collections or remasters or whatever the hell they're going to be. So I think they always plan to have for it to be announced around now and released in July. But
that Mario thing must have gotten delayed.
Yeah,
the rest of the announcement.
They didn't want to say it now,
and obviously you couldn't wait any longer. This was like maximum amount you could wait to announce this.
And you can't. Like, I'm glad about this date in a vacuum that Paper Mario is coming than just from Nintendo's pipeline, because it's only 2 months after Xenoblade, so I think that's generally fine.
At least, obviously, it's a slower than normal, but at least you kind of have a thing every few months, between Animal Crossing and Xenoblade. And
So the hype surrounding Paper Mario and getting more eyes on it, they planned on it being more because they was going to be doing a Mario specific presentation.
Yeah, I mean, but even then, it's still just like, I mean, I guess you get more eyes on it immediately, but like, I just feel like this game maybe could have used like 6 months of like, we're talking about it. Like, oh yeah, Paper Mario's coming up. When everyone's talking about what the fuck is Nintendo doing this year? Because like we have nothing on the roadmap. It's like, I just worry. Like, I think a bigger series could probably do this effectively, and it would be super cool. And I mean, as a fan, it's really cool to have like that big of a turnaround. I'm just worried that like I'm scared that we're going to get to the point where it's like this game was really good, but the sales just kind of petered
I can
off
definitely see it, but devil's advocate is the Switch doesn't have much going on. The fact that this trailer Shadow Drop probably got people kind of talking about it a fair amount, and I think I saw like it's gotten a good many views. And if word of mouth's good. The fact it is a Mario game and it is as charming as it is, I think could do well for sales. Because I don't know exact numbers, but Paper Mario sales aren't the greatest.
Yeah.
So a few million, like 4 or 5 million, I think would be like really good for this game, for example.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people bought Switches in the last few months with Animal Crossing and stuff that didn't have them before. But gaming in general just is going up a lot, and like, I mean, like that's what I mean. I'm kind of like playing both sides. I don't know completely. I'm like, I
don't disagree with you. It's kind of a thing. Like we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm very interested. Obviously, never played a Paper Mario game.
Day one, baby, let's go.
But I am really enjoying Super Mario RPG, and I already kind of feel the same wit in the writing and stuff in this. And
Paper Mario is probably overall Nintendo's best written series.
I could see that. I mean, because Nintendo's not known for their writing.
Yeah.
But like they rarely try, not in a bad way. It's just like their games
but even the stuff that is kind
of
of writing, Paper Mario's usually it can be a step up.
I mean, from just that one screenshot I saw of whatever game it was, where it's like, you know, putting gate on the end of a word is kind of dumb. It's like, what is this game? I want to play this game.
The Color Splash has a lot of good like those kind of lines. So it's the famous thing is there's a long line of toads and they all say different things. And I think one of them said they all look the same and all that. It's like, man, how can you tell them apart? We all look the same.
Yeah, it's like some self-aware writing, which is really cool.
I am very excited for this game.
I'm glad that all of a sudden, hey, we have a Nintendo game we're really excited for. Just all of a sudden.
Yep. Yep. I'm curious to see like when you get it, if you get it on your own or you just play my copy and what you think of it.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm sure I would like it.
Yeah.
If it does go more, if it does have some RPG-ness about it, if it's a straight up puzzle game, I might not enjoy it as much. But we'll see.
Oh, Darby, something else launched that day and we reacted to, and that is the Ghost of Tsushima State of Play.
It is, and also coming out the same day as
the same day. That's very funny.
Really funny. It's really weird. So this was a full like 18-minute it was about that gameplay.
19 minutes.
Yeah, something about that gameplay presentation where they went pretty deep into like
still left a lot of questions.
It did, but like this is definitely the deepest dive we've had, and I mean it was. I think, considering the circumstances of Corona and everything else, like obviously there was supposed to be more of this in the past. Like it was.
No, I didn't mean that as a bad thing. There's still questions.
They covered a lot of the big things that you would want covered.
There were still questions of how exactly this thing was going to play, even if it, based on our reactions, it played about exactly as we thought.
That's what I got from it. Yeah, like there was nothing in this presentation. Really like gameplay, like combat, and like what you are actually moving around doing with the character that really surprised me.
Yeah,
there were surprising elements with like the no HUD and like the wind thing and the animals and telling you the way and things like that. There was like some surprising things there, and then not surprising, but like I think the setting and the vibe of this game came through in this trailer more than it, pretty hard, more than it had in the past. But me and Jeff both, we were talking about this last night, just kind of like our thoughts evolving since that reaction. And I am definitely getting a little more personally lukewarm on this the more that the whole presentation sits with me. And a lot of that is not because like I think the game looks really good. I think it looks like a really polished version of the Horizon type game, the third person action RPG exploration. It's kind of a hybrid of those, but like it's a game that we've played a lot before, like the Far Cry's, the Horizon, the God of Wars, the Witchers, the Assassin's Creed. That it looks like a super well-made, polished PS4 version of one of those, because definitely like there's some things like, oh, that texture is a little rough, but that looks amazing. It's that kind of thing. And my problem with it more is just that I have played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of that type of game. That is the type of game I've played by far the most, and I love that type of game. But the older I get, the more I'm just like not as satisfied doing a super good version, but it's the same thing again.
Yeah.
You know, like I kind of need some more hook.
Some hook some way, whether it be a story or gameplay thing. Yeah. I get it, because like we talked about, we used Red Dead Redemption as a recent example for you that kind of has that kind of open world kind of thing, and that you absolutely loved.
Yeah, and it's the story was the hook. Yeah, and just the realism and immersion was the, you know, it's a nebulous thing. It's a hard thing. Like Horizon is also like gameplay is not doing anything groundbreaking, but I was super invested in the story and everything like that, which, you know, I mean, to be fair, I'm not writing off Ghost of Tsushima completely. Maybe it would get me in some ways. You know, there's still a lot we don't know about the story and everything, but like, just me personally, when I was watching it just like, I felt the like kind of muscle memory, like predictability thing too much in it, where I'm like, okay, yep, bandit camp, he's doing the bandit camp, yep, stealth takedown. Yep. He throws the thing to distract the guy and does this. Like, I almost feel
come down with the kill.
I feel like I'm gonna step into this game and immediately know everything to do, because again, it really does feel like they took Horizon and it's like, all right, Sucker Punch, here's Horizon, make it your own.
Yeah.
And it sounded like you're not as much in my camp as far as like you've played this 1,000 times before, but you were still like starting to get. Your opinion was starting to change.
Yeah, it's kind of more thinking about it, and more I thought about it, the more I saw it's like kind of with you, it's like not doing anything particularly that special. I love the vibe of the world and all that kind of stuff, but even kind of that, as far as the story goes, we haven't seen that much of it, so that hasn't been able to really get its hooks in me.
No, like I couldn't sit here and tell you like even a baseline really of what the story is. Like I know he's like avenging his family and things like that, but like I got
the general baseline, but just kind of a little more than that would kind of be nice to get the hook sunk in me a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean there are things. It's not like there are things this game is doing that are unique. I think the kind of feudal Japan with like stripping out all the sci-fi or not sci-fi, you know, fantasy stuff, stripping all that out, at least it seems. It would be, like you said in their reaction, it'd be pretty surprising at this point if we got in there and there was some giant monster or something. You'd be like, what? So like that, and just the scenery, the cherry blossoms going, like, and the it's realism, but then it's also like stylized samurai action. Like that all of that is very unique. And I totally get how people are like, look at this and like, yes, I want to play a game like that. I totally get that. I mean, though I'm not taking away from those things. I just like, for me, looking at this trailer, the unique parts of this don't really seem enough to break through the monotony of everything else.
At least not everything they shown, because the vibe of the world could get old pretty quickly. Yeah. Like if that's the main
this might
hook.
Be a 50+ hour game. I mean,
that's also the interesting thing is we got more of this, but just because the marketing of this has still been kind of weird overall, we don't know too much about it. We don't know how big of a scope it is yet, though. I do think it's going to be probably close to Horizon, so it's got to worth probably like 30-ish hours.
I put 50 hours to the Horizon because like I was.
I don't know. I feel like I've seen the 30 hours for Horizon run around. At least for the main
normal people. Yes. Normal people. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like that might be more what they're going for. I don't know.
I mean, but then there's like, again, like you said, we don't completely know. There's times like when they're up on a hill in this game and they're like looking over the world. It's like that looks straight up like a shot from Breath of the Wild. So like, what is it? What should we be expecting exactly there? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if it is way more exploration heavy or something, maybe that could get me there as far as like loving the game. But at least when we were seeing the combat, like, me and you both, I think we're on the same page that like I saw a lot of people kind of saying like, oh yeah, it's like Neo Sekiro, and I'm like, I really think you're going to be disappointed. I really think this is way more Horizon God of War type things, where it's like I think the combat is going to have its unique flair, but I think it's going to be kind of surface level. I mean, in the same way that Horizon is. Like, Horizon combat is cool, but like it's like Assassin's Creed, Witcher, or anything else. You do the combat, and then you keep doing that. Like, you learn the combat, and then it doesn't evolve a ton because it's more about exploring the world and getting the story and everything, and exploration. I think that's what this is going to be. Like, a Sekiro and Neo is like all about the swordplay. You're not exploring this crazy world, really. Like, it is about, we're going to like take this very deep, complex sword mechanics and like throw a bunch of different like enemy designs at you. I really don't think that's what this game is.
As someone who loves the Infamous series, I was surprised, just even as a fan of that, people kind of saying that kind of stuff just based off Sucker Punch's lineage, which of course they can go to another thing and be really good at. I'm not saying that, but just based on what we've seen and just the kind of games I worked on, we have no particular reason to believe it's in that direction. Like, until we actually get our hands on it or get some actual impressions on it than just seeing a developer play it.
And I mean, maybe it's a conversation for another day, because like we talked about a little bit last night, I really do think we can make a whole main topic out of this. We're honestly kind of at the point where you kind of know what a Sony first party game is at this point, and they don't really branch out to like crazy different genres. They're all a variation of the realistic third person exploration action game. Some are more exploration than others, and some, like obviously God of War's combat is more deep than some of these other ones, but they're all more or less in that same template, which I definitely think we can talk about it at some point. We talked about how like there's a point where Sony could get to Ubisoft levels of like they do a thing and they do that one thing. And that's another reason why, like, until I see differently, I just assume when I look at it, it's like I have spent so much time in these Sony worlds to where like I feel like I know a Sony game when I see, I know this type of game when I see one, and this just looks so much like Horizon.
See, and that's such disappointing, because they feel that way just because Sony in the past had like so many different cool franchises, and they did so many different things, and it just kind of sucks, even if they are quality, that at least their bigger studios are starting to kind of be kind of very samey as far as general stuff. And then the other smaller stuff, they're doing more interesting things, either aren't getting as big of a budget behind it or aren't getting marketing, and
they're very few and far between.
At this point,
it's like Concrete Genie and Dreams. And I guess Medieval. Like, and then Ratchet and Clank's pretty far away at this point. Yeah, I mean, and part of it is a bigger video game problem with video games take so much money and time to make that in order to make money, you need to sell a lot of copies, and to sell a lot of copies, you're going to do the genres that are tried and true and proven to sell copies, which the single player RPG action hybrid thing or whatever has been proven to sell a lot. So I'm sure that's why Sony studios are like, okay, this is what we're doing, and I hope that starts to change, but like it kind of like it probably won't, because we kind of know what we're dealing with now. Like, God of War is going to continue to go, Horizon's going to continue to go, Spider-Man is going to continue to go, maybe even Ghost of Tsushima continues to go, maybe Days Gone continues to go. It's like we're kind of running out of chances to break away from this.
We never really believe, like, just to throw in another one continuing to go. Naughty Dog's probably not going to change their general formula
probably
too
not.
much.
They haven't. Ever since Uncharted, they've been the same thing. They do it amazing, but it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. Because, I mean, obviously, PlayStation has enough third-party support where they can be one thing and there'll still be enough other stuff. But it kind of sucks because it's just like, I almost feel like I wish I could see that level of budget and quality and amazing, talented people maybe go to a little more of a variety. So, is this now a like wait and see and very very carefully read reviews, because even if they're positive, they still might be like, for me at least, they might
as far as for me goes, I was planning on getting this day one, but not necessarily because of the presentation. It's kind of a mix of that and the fact Paper Mario is coming out the same day, and I'm more all in for that. So that's kind of a reason, like, okay, since I'm not all in necessarily on Ghost of Tsushima this one, or I have some of these concerns, let's wait and see, see those reviews and how general perception is, and get some of this information, figure it out, and I'd be a paper boy.
I think that is very fair.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I'm more interested in Paper Mario right now. Obviously, Paper Mario has more questions right now. We've seen, a lot less. We've seen very little of Paper Mario overall, but at least just, right now, it's like hype check. And I'm definitely more excited about Paper Mario.
Nice.
I'm not at like day one buy for either yet. We'll see.
We'll see.
We shall see.
We shall see. Darby, I'm actually going to read an article.
Whoa! I know, we've just been kind of shooting the shit
after
about
an hour.
Games.
This comes from Joe Scrabbles to IGN. The Media Indie Exchange has announced Guerrilla Collective, a 3-day event focused on indie developers and publishers, taking place from June 6th to 8th. It will make up a part of IGN's Summer Gaming Showcase. Produced alongside the Kind of Funny Games Showcase and hosted by Kind of Funny co-founder / ex-IGN lovely man, Greg Miller. The event will begin on June 6th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, blah, 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 and promises news and announcements for every platform. Some of the announced participants include Larian, Baldur's Gate 3, Thunderful, the Steam World Series, Zaz / Disco Elysium, and Rebellion, Sniper Elite. On June 7th, there will be a second online press event, and June 8th will include a day of gameplay demos and developer interviews. The Guerrilla event will also include the Paradox Insider broadcast, the digital version of the yearly PC gaming show, and the Future Games show. And also, if you want to go, I'm sure there's other places on the internet too, on the IGN article for this, there's a bigger list of games or studios that we know for sure are going to be here.
Nice. I think this obviously sounds awesome. It's a E3 type event, but like specifically for indies. And what the Kind of Funny Game showcase has been, I've really enjoyed. Like shining a light on smaller games, and this just sounds like that type of vibe, but for 3+ days and actual demos that we can play and stuff.
Yeah. Well, and also the names they've already thrown out there. It's like, let's go.
Oh yeah.
I think I saw you liking / saying something about Larian being there.
Yeah. I mean, obviously,
that's a good like headline. Like, hey, they're gonna be here to get people excited. Like, okay, we'll pay attention to it.
Obviously, I am day one for Baldur's Gate 3 after the original Sin 2, and now I'm just like, all right, until Larian proves me wrong, I am there on day one.
At least when you'll get. I guess you'll get another look at it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, they've already put out like freaking 2 hours of gameplay with the guy like playing it. And like, I didn't even watch a lot of it because it's like, okay, I know what this game is. Just give me the game. I'll just wait for the game. But obviously, them being there is cool. Disco Elysium's cool too. I don't know if that'll be like DLC or if it'll be like something else, But
yeah, something else for the studio. And I didn't know until reading this. Well, that some of these series that the PC gaming show is going to be involved in this specifically.
Yeah, I don't think I knew that either.
Which also gets me more excited for this because, obviously, we're now more involved in PC stuff. We get more excited for that.
Join the master race.
Yep. And just all this stuff. So that would all be fun. Maybe I should look at adding a couple more bets related to this before we do our betting special.
So this is June 7th. Is that what
June 6th to 8th. It's 3 days.
6 to 8, okay.
And I guess we'll get a schedule closer to that. And we can figure out if there's anything we wanted to try to react to if we had time.
Yeah, I think this definitely sounds like a really cool event, and the demo thing is super cool.
Oh, sweet. I just realized. Well, good news potentially for you. I can try. June 6th is a Saturday, so this is primarily being on a Saturday and a Sunday.
Nice.
So we can get a schedule. We'll try to figure out something for this.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe
it's like a good time, and I'm sure. It's cool to see Greg and Kind of Funny's name attached to it because they kind of built the Kind of Funny Game Showcase. And also for them, I'm sure they're like, okay, we're not the ones fully in charge or we don't have to do everything.
At least a big load, I'm sure, is taken off.
Yeah, and they made some connections, so it's kind of,
So I'm wondering, what exactly does that mean? Is there, during this, is there going to be, a little presentation that is Kind of Funny Game Showcase related, branded? Or is it just going to be, Greg and Tim, like, hey...
Yeah, it's probably them kind of throughout. It's kind of funny. It'll make a little branding throughout. Just kind of their names on things, like at the bottom thing.
Yeah. I mean, either way, it's obviously we're super big fans of those guys, very influenced by those guys, and I like what they've done with the showcase. So,
and the more I heard about this thing in particular, the more I'm like, let's go.
And I'm sure this is going to be one of the I kind of doubt any of the other events this summer for big games are going to have demos. This is probably going to be one of the few times we get hey, have some hands-on demo time. So that will be cool.
Yep. Get to see some of them demos and interviews.
Yeah, yeet.
Yeah, yee. Darby, let's talk well, we already knew it was canceled, but the online version we got information of for EVO Online.
You can't kill it.
You can't kill it, but you can kill Smash being there.
But yeah, you can weaken it. You can shoot a few limbs off. You can.
Yep. So they announced that things are changing. They're going to do exhibitions for pretty much. I watched the video again. They used the word exhibition for all the games that were part of the original lineup.
Okay.
That might mean they're still doing probably some tournaments in there, but I did look.
So does exhibition mean like there's no prize money, no anything like that? It's just like
I guess,
thing?
yeah. Mm-hmm. For every game on the original EVO lineup, except for Marvel vs. Capcom 2,
which is just gone.
Yeah, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which is
Smash.
also just gone. Yeah. Which Marvel we all predicted. Smash is not too surprising. But part of us kind of figured they would probably try anyway. But
it's depressing. Like the more I think it's like an indictment on Nintendo, honestly. Yeah. Which we can definitely talk about. I mean, I think it's kind of ridiculous that. I mean, I love Smash to death, and I'll criticize it because I love it, and I love Nintendo, but I'll criticize them because I love them. And Smash is like the biggest fighting game in the world. Just it is. It's like the most popular thing. I know it's not like a hardcore fighting game, but it is the most popular thing in the world.
But it's though.
It's the most popular thing on EVO every single time without fail. Like EVO, I'm sure would kill to have it. They like desperately want it. But for Nintendo, like for their online everything to be so freaking bad that you can't get your most big money making thing that has sold like almost 30 million copies and all this or whatever, but it's online is like so freaking bad that you can't even have it in like an exhibition tournament. That's pretty fucking bad. That's pretty bad for a major company, you know, with such a big game.
Based on what I saw, no one who kind of follows fighting games on the internet, or I mean, you don't even need to be a hardcore fighting game to know that Smash Online is not good.
Yeah, you just have to try it.
This is not something people were necessarily surprised about that it was not included. You know, I guess we technically don't know if it's because it was online, but I think it's safe to assume because EVO definitely wouldn't have elected to not have Smash Bros. There's no way in hell. The other ones they're still doing, even though not as bad as Smash, but again, like we talked about last week, none of these particularly have fantastic online.
I don't want to completely go off on a tangent with this, so just very quick. I've kind of lost hope in Nintendo fixing their online. I really think they were at the point where they would have done it by now. Like, I really just don't even think it's a priority for them, which is just kind of ridiculous with, you know. I know they don't have mini games that go online, but you have Splatoon, you have Smash, and they're very big deals. And, like, when you sold the Switch, they had that whole, like, esports thing and all this whatever. It's like, that's just kind of a joke. It really is a joke. What's kind of weird, and I'm not saying it's perfect, but even, like, comparatively, Splatoon Online is a good bit better than Smash is. I could see it. Smash terrible. Like, people generally feel okay, based on what I can see, and in my experience, okay with Splatoon's online. It could be better for sure. All Nintendo's online, anything related to online could be much better. Yes. But Smash is, like you were saying, compared to how big it is, it's kind of embarrassing how bad it can be. But let's talk about the rest of the so the rest of us are going to be there in the exhibition match, and we're going to get some online tournaments with 4 more games added. And those games are Skullgirls Encore, Mortal Kombat 11. It's back. Killer Instinct, and Them Fighting Herds. The most exciting one. But no Power Rangers. What is this shit? It's bullshit. I wonder why it wasn't there in the original. When EVO was originally announced. I don't know why it's not here. Now is this time to shine. They've got Them Fighting Herds. It looks fun, and I'm pretty happy that that's on there. No. I honestly, I can consider myself getting it. Just what they have going on, it sounds cool. It'd be fun. That'd be a stream game. And it's pretty cheap. If you haven't, anyone listening to this, please go look up a trailer for Them's Fighting Herds. It's it's a horse-based 2D fighting game, and it's pretty freaking fantastic.
It's in the character, like we said, it's horse, but it's like My Little Ponies, but they all use magic. I'm pretty sure one of them uses Boston Terriers to fight.
Hell yeah, of course.
I might be wrong on that, but that's what it looked like when I saw a screenshot.
It is pretty funny that there was like such a big thing. It's like, oh, Evo's breaking up with Mortal Kombat 11, and it's like, can we? Can we have that back? Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I think it's good for you because I think people are generally excited for Mortal Kombat 11, especially with all this expansion pass stuff going on.
Yeah. I mean, I don't watch much Evo stuff anyway. I would be more likely to watch Mortal Kombat 11 than like almost any of these other ones because, because I'm a scrub. I'm a casual who likes Mortal Kombat.
Damn fucking nerd. But Darby, you're not going to watch the Fighting Herds tournament?
I mean, that sounds entertaining. I'll probably watch Max watch the Killer Instinct ones because he just loves Killer Instinct so much. So I'm happy for him. It's cool. Yeah, I'm glad Evo is still happening in some way. It's obviously going to be a lighter year. It's not going to be as big of a thing. But
yeah, I can't remember the exact wording. Let me see if I can just pull it up real quick. Got it right here.
Also, just sign it.
Also, something interesting. This is going to be over 5 weekends.
Weird.
Yeah. So it's not all going to be taking place at once.
Out thing.
Yeah. And what they say with special exhibitions and content for EVO 2020's original lineup.
Okay.
So I wonder if
those 4 games are more of the like actual like the tournament thing, and the rest
that's the way they make it sound. But even then, it sounds like they're kind of they're being kind of confusing about the wording for this. Yeah. People don't, at least at the time, didn't completely understand what was going on. It's
going to be kind of a wait and see thing, I guess.
And also, I'm curious about with like special exhibitions and content means, the normal Evo thing where we get some trailers from a couple of these games.
Yeah, hopefully we'll at least get some. I imagine it'll be a little lighter than normal, but
yeah.
Hopefully we'll get some.
Sure, we'll get probably a Fighters trailer at the very least.
Another Goku.
Another Goku. God, if there are 2 Gokus in this pack, dear Lord.
I mean, statistically,
it's time for Goku. Okay, Dari, time for some quick news headlines.
Quick news.
And we are welcome to talk about these as long as we want.
4 hours.
Yep. First one. Speaking of fighting games, Guilty Gear Strive delayed until 2021, Darby.
Feels bad.
Not surprising with all this going on.
Yeah.
It sounds like it was going to be late in the year anyway.
Yeah. I was hoping with the beta and everything that maybe we were closer, but yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It
Take all the time you need.
Did they just say generic 2021?
Yeah, they said generic 21. They, it's like, we're sorry and please be excited.
Yeah. And we will be, because that game looks pretty bonkers.
Yeah. Got some more Sony news. Sony unveils PlayStation Studios branding. They decided to Sony Worldwide, whatever studios they had. Now it's PlayStation Studios. They had a little trailer. It looked a lot like the Marvel and what Xbox has been doing as far as their game studios things.
Between I mean, I'm not even hating the first part of this, but between State of Play straight up being like, oh, Nintendo Direct, yoink, and then now this being like, oh, Marvel, yoink.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking funny. I mean, it's like, again, these are decisions made by suits. They're just like, oh, that works. Let's do that.
And Darby, no Sly Cooper in there.
What
is this garbage?
Blasphemy.
Look at this boy.
Look at him. You're going to replace him with a weasel in a burlap sack?
What is this?
It's just, it is blasphemy. I'm going to go destroy my PS4 right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of those things. There's definitely people, the whole like fanboyism, I just like kind of can't stand. Like, you would have thought this was like a way bigger fucking deal than it is. It's literally there's a new logo that comes before the games and a new name. Okay,
yeah, that's kind of my reaction. Really? People kind of like making a big deal out of this. This is big news. I'm like,
is it? I mean,
that's like, okay.
It's just the company kind of slightly rebranding. It's like there's nothing new about. There's nothing actually. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, like, cool. Yeah. I mean, like, they want to have like basically the HBO stinger, something that like when you see that, like, okay, I know that I'm getting quality. Unfortunately, we also know exactly what genre it'll be when we see that logo.
Dari, what are the odds that the people that that loved this, a good many of them scoffed or whatever when Xbox rebranded as Xbox Game Studios.
Probably. Kill fanboyism. It's just the worst thing.
It's getting worse and worse now. Like a lot of the stuff revolving around.
We're going back to the console wars, and I just don't want.
I'm not surprised, but I'm disappointed.
we should be more mature than this by now.
It's something I'm kind of excited about related to Sony. Iron Man VR. They announced will be launching on July 3rd.
Yeah,
did not get put back that much. Just like Last of Us, I guess no reason to when they decide, Last of Us, we're just pushing back 3 weeks. Iron Man, we're pushing back a little more, but.
I don't feel good about this game's sales.
Oh, no, I don't either.
I feel like it's way too late in the PS4's life cycle. Yep. I feel like people aren't going to go buy a new a big VR headset when the consoles are coming out very soon. And if you follow PlayStation, you would be like, I'm not going to get this thing because I have zero faith that they're actually going to keep supporting it. It's like...
I mean, like
me right now, I would not get a PS5 a PSVR right now. If I was gonna get a VR, I would go for Oculus Quest.
Oh no, like when I upgrade, I'm planning on a Quest or something.
Yeah, I mean, it made sense at the time you got it, but if I was getting into it right now, it'd be like, I don't want to get into this thing that might be dead, in a few months. Yeah. So I don't really feel good about sales, but at least you will be able to play it, and if I want to, I'll play it. So we'll have impressions on here.
Yes. And the people who played it at events said it's good.
Yeah, it might be really good. It won't sell good, but it might be really good.
Yeah,
quality-wise. So.
Yep. It's unfortunately now it got to the point where PlayStation VR was the big one. Now it's feeling like that is leaning towards the PC one. So now it being on PSVR right now seems to be hurting it.
Yeah, and I mean, it used to be that PSVR had, as far as VR headsets, they had the low end, the more price friendly model, and they had it by a mile because Oculus and Vive were so much more expensive than the PSVR. So it was like, oh, this is the PSVR selling well because it's getting the more casual audience. Now they don't have that. Now it's Quest. I mean, I think Quest costs about the same, if not less, or close enough to where you would, and it's a much better product. Yeah, so you're going to go for that even if it's a little bit more. So it's like PSVR has kind of been now they're in a stranglehold. There's kind of
plus the lack of wires just makes it
right. It's the most inferior product, and it's doesn't even have a huge price advantage anymore.
Yeah, so it's $400 for the 64 gigabyte or $128 for the 500.
Yeah.
So around
the same. It's reasonable, and it's a way better.
For people who are really into the stuff, I feel like the price difference is enough for it to justify just getting the Quest for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if it was $300 for PSVR, $400 for Quest, I would go Quest.
Yeah,
no wires. I'm a lot more likely to. I mean, that would be so cool to be able to just strap that on and play Beat Saber.
Well, I was say the big one for you would obviously be Beat Saber. A big one for you would be Beat Saber, and then that's on there.
That'd be sweet. That'd be so cool. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, Darby. We're getting closer to the end. We've had some financial reports. We're going to talk about a couple things from Ubisoft, and then we're going to talk about some Capcom. For Ubisoft, we actually got an actual news headline. Ubisoft announced Ubisoft Forward, which is going to be their digital conference thing to replace their E3 conference, and it's going to be on July 12th, on a Sunday. Cool. Yeah. They're actually going to show a bunch of games. We might actually see some Valhalla gameplay.
The long-awaited Valhalla gameplay.
We're surely going to be seeing some Watch Dogs 2 or Watch Dogs Legion.
Watch Dogs 2. Yeah. Re-released it.
Sorry, I got second has 2 on the brain. Just 2. That's obviously not going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Gods and Monsters finally.
I still just remember.
I think it was supposed to be out 3 months ago.
How mad me and Will were that is a fake release date. This is the fakest
and you
release
know
date.
You're lying to us.
It's that's not happening. Yeah. This will be cool as long as things haven't been too messed up with Corona. I imagine this will be pretty similar content wise to what we would have had at E3 from them. I mean, the fact that they're actually doing one singular event, they have enough games in production to have a pretty good showing.
And let's talk about some of them games. Really, we got some information about some games. They are planning to, they kind of released what their lineup is going to be for this fiscal year, ending March 31st, 2021. That includes Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Watch Dogs Legion, Rainbow Six Quarantine, which I always forget exists.
And
the naming is very unfortunate.
I was about to say, what are the odds that name changes? Yeah. I think it's very high.
Probably.
Very high.
Gods and Monsters, an unannounced AAA game, which is apparently supposed to be for one of their big IP.
Fucking Far Cry.
Probably. I didn't watch their announcement thing, but people were like, is that a Far Cry hint? I'm like, please, God, no.
What? See, and how much of a bummer is that? Like, Far Cry, I loved Far Cry, but now I'm at the point where I'm like, oh, God, please don't. Like, that sucks.
Yeah. And we got a little information about release times for some of those games. 3 of the AAA titles, including Assassin's Creed Valhalla, were released between October and December. We kind of already knew this, but we're getting a little more, information, kind of updated. 2 of them are going to release in between January and March. So, Darby, of those 5 we named, what are you thinking as far as when these things will come out?
Have they said anything about Watch Dogs Legion, or was it just the delayed inevitable?
It got delayed. I think there was some stuff about it I don't know if there's rumors it coming out around the console launch now.
Yeah, I mean, because it was supposed to come out early this year, right?
It was like March 6th, I believe.
Yeah, so like I have to imagine that's going to be still this year.
Like, the only thing is, I know they're different. I mean, different kind of things, but I guess all these are going to be close. Just that means it'd be pretty close on top of Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah, I mean, you could have one in October, one in late November/December or something. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like they've maybe. I don't know. I feel like they've done that before, or at least other companies.
I'm 100% sure they have, before, but it's still just kind of...
Gods and Monsters is kind of the wild card. I mean, that could...
But my guess is the way it's going to go is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, obviously, this year.
October. It's almost always October.
They said holiday.
Maybe.
Specifically.
I think they stretch that sometimes to me.
It's hard to tell.
It could be late October. I think Odyssey, wasn't that like October 24th? Because that was the day that like Odyssey, or what was it like? It was like 3 different things came out at once. It was Odyssey and 2 other things like came out all on the same day. I forgot.
Now you're thinking of Origins.
It was Origins, Odyssey, Super Mario Odyssey, and then God damn it, why is that game named Odyssey?
I don't know. I think it's gonna be Valhalla, Watch Dogs, and maybe Gods and Monsters there.
That's what I would predict for this year.
And I think because they've done this before, having the first part of the year having Rainbow Six and Far Cry.
Yeah,
I feel like those particular series come out in the first part of the year.
Ubisoft really does the same thing every year, don't they?
So you know what sucks about this? Assuming this is all, no, like Mario plus Rabbids 2.
Yeah,
unless they don't count that as AAA,
and then you'll just keep getting your Tom Clancy's, the whole suite of those, your Assassin's Creed, your Far Cries, and your Watch Dogs. At least Watch Dogs is kind of doing something different. But
yeah. I'm excited for Watch Dogs, but they got to win me over on Gods and Monsters. The general premise I'm okay with.
We know nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
We know so little.
That's one I'm like, I can maybe buy. You got to show me the game.
People in interviews reference Breath of the Wild, but you can't just say that. That's some mighty big words to just say. You got to show me some shit.
Yep. And finally, we got a little bit of sales information for Ubisoft. Related to this gen. 6 different franchises and wait, that's not 6, but whatever. 11 titles have sold over 10 million plus units this console cycle. I don't think anyone should be particularly surprised what these are. We got a couple Assassin's Creed games. We got Unity, Origins, and Odyssey. I don't know if I'm surprised about Unity or not. I feel like I heard a lot less about that game, but it's Assassin's
a lot of
Creed.
people don't like it, but it's still Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. Far Cry 4 and 5. No one's surprised there. No. We got a bunch of Tom Clancy games: Ghost Recon, Wildlands, Rainbow Six Siege, Division 2. Yep. And Watch Dogs 1 and 2.
That's the only one that's surprising to me is Watch Dogs 2.
I am surprised too because it felt like even to Ubisoft that didn't do as well, but for them not doing as well can mean it didn't do 20 million.
Right. I think Ubisoft is just such a monumental.
I am happy it did well.
That's awesome. That probably made Watch Dogs Legion more possible. Because it really felt like Watch Dogs 2 did a lot worse than that. But, again, for them. Maybe that is, but but none of the rest of it is surprising.
No.
Ubisoft is a very, very, very big company, and again, that we need to have a more in-depth version of that Sony conversation because you really do start to see shades of this. Is how you get to Ubisoft is just such a again, it's usually pretty good quality, but they are just such a machine. They are like a buttoned up we churn out these things as an assembly line gaming company or whatever, and I know a lot of people love these games or whatever, but it just gets very kind of dull to me.
Okay, so we just now got another summer event to look forward to.
Yep.
Hopefully get some reactions for it.
It keeps going all summer long.
Yep. Okay, now let's talk about some Capcom. Let me get to that. Okay, so Capcom did their kind of thing. We got a couple sales numbers for stuff. So let's get to it, Darby.
Yes.
Might have a couple of extra information for things. Let's see here. Monster Hunter World continues to be crazy. Has sold 15.7 million. Is anyone surprised?
Not anymore. I was still pretty surprised that first year that much, but no, not surprised anymore.
Iceborne alone has sold over 5 million.
Nice. That's crazy. That's pretty good.
Yep. Let's see here. We got some Resident Evil sales. We have Resident Evil 7 at 7.5 million. So here's a very interesting thing about that now. Resident Evil 7 is about to surpass Resident Evil 5 as the best-selling...
Resident Evil 6, you mean?
Or Resident Evil 6, my bad. As the best-selling Resident Evil game.
Which, that's surprising because, I think this is another example of our video game journalist bubble that we, follow. Or obviously, they talk a lot more about RE2 than anything else. But clearly, RE7 obviously sold really well at launch, but clearly it's been selling... recently. It's kept on selling because for it to be over RE2 and still growing and getting to that point, it's it's at least it's almost RE2 remake is here at 6.6 million, RE7's at 7.5 million. Mm-hmm. So a decent clip above it. So that's good. I definitely think
the fact that it might 8 might be going back to Ethan and being first person makes more sense now.
I think it makes sense always. I'm from the outside, so I guess who cares what I think? But I think it's very cool for Resident Evil to have two different parallel things, so it's not just the same thing over and over again.
I agree. As someone who is getting into Resident Evil, kind of slowly but surely. Some other stuff. Street Fighter 5 is now at 4.5 million, and what was I? Let's see. I had something here. Let's see.
That feels kind of low for multiple platforms and multiple versions, in Street Fighter being such a big deal. But maybe Street Fighter again is just a bigger name than it is actual selling.
Well, apparently it might be it's one of top 10 Capcom's best selling games. Maybe.
Yeah.
So it's doing okay. Doing okay.
Yeah. There was also when Monster Hunter crossed 8 million. They're it's the top selling Capcom game ever. We're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So that's all it took was 8 million?
Yeah.
I guess just okay.
So Street Fighter 5 is doing pretty well. I'm curious to see what they do with 6 and what kind of changes they get people kind of excited.
Yeah.
Because it felt like they turned it around, but people were definitely 100% lukewarm or did not like 5 when it first came out.
I'm sure they're going to try to have a better launch with 6.
Yeah. Devil May Cry 5, we got at 3.5 million. Apparently, it is now the best-selling entry in the franchise.
I think for that kind of game, that's very good.
That is very good for
very
that
good.
kind of game.
This is super random, but that kind of, for some reason, that number being attached to Devil May Cry 5 makes Nier Automata even more impressive to me.
You know what? You're right.
The Nier Automata is like outselling Devil May Cry. Like,
you know what? I didn't think about that way, but you're right.
Yeah, like I don't know. That was just like a really random thing that I thought when I was looking at it. Because yeah,
crazy.
Yeah.
Well, yep, Terry. We have nothing else to say. I think that might be a podcast.
All right, that's a podcast. That's a good, reasonable length. We had some good discussions.
Wait, Terry, we got to finish within a minute, so we can get under an hour and a half.
Go youtube.com/nerdsatlarge, twitch.com/nerdsatlargegaming. Go check those things out. Thank you very much. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.